Good evening, everyone. The entertainment world has been shaken once again. What was supposed to be a private, joyful birthday celebration for Menglong's longtime manager has turned into a viral nightmare, captivating and horrifying millions overnight. A mysterious video, now dubbed the blood ritual, surfaced online late last night, showing a scene so bizarre, so unsettling, that the internet has been in chaos ever since. The footage, allegedly taken inside a dimly lit room filled with crimson light and ritualistic symbols, left viewers questioning whether they had just witnessed an elaborate prank, an avant-garde performance, or something far darker. Within hours, hashtags exploded. Discussion threads multiplied. Fans began dissecting every frame, every whisper, every flicker of candlelight. Some called it art. Others called it a warning. But one thing is certain, no one was prepared for what they saw. As the mystery deepens and the speculation grows, take a closer look at what really happened behind the closed doors of that birthday party, and why this ritual might be more than just a viral stunt. It began as something ordinary. Quiet evening at a secluded villa on the outskirts of Beijing, where a small group of industry insiders gathered to celebrate the birthday of Menglong's longtime manager, Han Yujin, a man known for his sharp business sense and discreet personality. Guests arrived in luxury cars. Laughter echoed in the courtyard, and everything seemed perfect. But sometime after midnight, the celebration took a strange turn. What followed would be replayed millions of times online, dissected frame by frame, spread about in forums and gossip channels. A ritual, drenched in red light, a voice chanting in the background, and a shadow, unmistakably resembling Menglong himself, standing at the center of a circle drawn on the floor. The clip was short, just 2 minutes and 26 seconds, but it was enough to ignite chaos across the internet. Within hours, the hashtag blood ritual party topped Weibo's trending chart, surpassing even national political news. No one knows who first uploaded the clip. Some claim it was leaked by a catering staff member, others suspect a disgruntled guest. The video surfaced at 1:43 a.m. under an anonymous account named Silent Witness 13. The footage begins with shaky movement, as though recorded secretly from behind a curtain. The camera focuses on a group of people standing around a circular table covered in crimson cloth. Candles flicker. Someone, possibly the manager himself, holds a small silver bowl filled with dark red liquid. A low chant begins, slow, rhythmic, almost hypnotic. Then, the most chilling moment, the chant stops, and everyone raises their hands toward the ceiling. Red light brightens to an eerie glow. Someone whispers, "For rebirth." The screen cuts to black. By sunrise, the video had been shared across major platforms, Douyin, Twitter, YouTube. International fans began translating captions, theories, and subtitles. Within 8 hours, the clip amassed over 12 million views. Comments flooded in. "This looks like a cult ceremony. Was this part of a new film? Please tell me this is staged. Why does Menglong look possessed?" Some viewers claimed they heard faint sobbing in the background. Others insisted they saw a shadow moving against the wall, one that didn't match any of the people in the room. Screenshots of the strange markings on the floor circulated widely, with online users comparing them to ancient alchemical symbols or Taoist rituals. In fan communities, panic spread like wildfire. A number of Menglong's fan pages temporarily shut down, citing mental distress. Others began organizing online cleansing rituals through live streams, burning incense while watching the video. The act itself carried bad energy. Within 24 hours, the internet divided into factions. Art installation theory. Some believe the video was part of an experimental art project. They noted that several of the guests were artists known for performance-based installations. The occult ritual theory. Others pointed to the presence of a red circle drawn with what looked like blood and argued it was a genuine occult ceremony, possibly inspired by ancient sacrificial rites. The viral marketing theory. A smaller group speculated it was a publicity stunt for an upcoming film starring Menglong. However, no studio came forward to confirm any connection. When reporters reached out to Menglong's management company for a statement, the response was terse. "No comment. Please respect the privacy of all parties involved." The silence only fueled the fire. Several attendees later spoke, anonymously, to entertainment bloggers. One described the night as surreal. Everything was normal until they turned off the main lights. Then they brought in these red lamps. Han Yujin said something about purifying energy. We thought it was a joke, like a theme. But when the chanting began, I felt something shift. The air was heavy. Static before a storm. Another source added. I saw Menglong standing still, eyes closed. He looked pale, distant. When I tried to approach, someone stopped me, said not to interrupt the moment. After that, I left. I didn't see the rest. No one has confirmed whether the red liquid was real blood. Online sleuths pointed to reflections in the bowl, arguing the viscosity looked too thick to be wine. A critical detail emerged 3 days after the video went viral. A user claiming to be a historian of Eastern symbology identified the circular mark seen on the floor as an ancient binding seal, historically used in forbidden Taoist rituals intended to summon or seal spiritual entities. The internet exploded again. Fan forums lit up with screenshots comparing the floor pattern to passages from obscure Taoist texts. Some posts even claimed that the phrase for rebirth was linked to a ritual of transference, offering something valuable in exchange for eternal youth or success. Suddenly, what began as gossip turned into urban legend. Memes merged with horror. News outlets that once laughed at the blood ritual now treated it like a national phenomenon. Throughout it all, Menglong remained silent. Cancelled public appearances. Stopped posting on social media. And was absent from a scheduled promotional event. His silence became part of the story. Elation mounted. Was he in hiding? Was he under investigation? Or was he simply traumatized? Fans dissected his previous interviews. For clues, words like rebirth, sacrifice, and light after darkness were suddenly reinterpreted as foreshadowing. Even old behind-the-scenes photos were scrutinized. People claiming to see the same red symbols drawn faintly on the set walls. After nearly a week of chaos, Han Yujin, birthday host himself, issued a brief post on Weibo. Thank you for your concern. The video circulating online is taken out of context. It was part of a private, symbolic celebration between close friends. No harm was done, and no rituals took place. Stop spreading false information. But the post did not calm the storm, it made it worse. Users replied with screenshots, demanding proof. One fan wrote, "If it wasn't a ritual, then what was that red circle? What were you chanting?" Han Yujin deleted the post 3 hours later. By the 10th day, several news outlets attempted to cover the story, but many of their articles were mysteriously removed within hours. Users noticed that searching blood ritual or Han Yujin birthday on local platforms yielded no results. Hashtags vanished overnight. National outlets, however, continued to report on it. New York Herald, Asia Starline, and Tokyo Entertainment Weekly all published features analyzing the phenomenon. One article described it as a perfect example of how fear and mystery spread in the digital age. But not everyone believed the censorship was coincidence. Some whispered that powerful figures in the entertainment industry had intervened to contain the damage, or to bury something that was never meant to be seen. 2 weeks later, Menglong finally appeared, briefly, at an airport in Shanghai. Dressed in black, wearing sunglasses. He avoided reporters and said nothing. But one moment caught the attention of fans, a red thread tied around his wrist. In Chinese folklore, red strings are symbols of destiny and protection, but also of connection to spiritual vows. Screenshots of his wrist went viral within minutes, igniting every rumor that had begun to fade. People wondered aloud, was the ritual still ongoing? Offline, in cafes and offices. People began to talk again. Rumors grew stranger, that the guests at the party had started avoiding mirrors. Han Yujin's house was being renovated to seal energy. Something had gone wrong during the ritual. A neighbor reported hearing animal-like sounds coming from the villa days after the party. Another claimed that red wax stains were still visible near the main gate. No official records supported any of it, but by then, truth no longer mattered. The story had taken on a life of its own. As fascination turned to fear, darker corners of the web began hosting ritual reenactments. Live streamers lit candles, red circles on their floors, and repeated the words for rebirth on camera. Some claimed to feel dizzy afterward. Others reported nightmares. Experts in digital anthropology later described it as collective contagion of belief, when imagination becomes indistinguishable from experience. For those who attended the original party, it wasn't just imagination. Something had happened that night. Something none of them wanted to name. Before the original video was taken down from all major platforms, a user captured a slowed version of the final frame. In the corner, just before the cut to black, a faint reflection appeared, a face, half lit by candlelight, staring directly into the camera. It wasn't Menglong. It wasn't Han Yujin. No one has ever identified who it was. For nearly 3 weeks, the entertainment world moved in uneasy rhythm. Shows aired as usual. Interviews went on. But the shadow of the blood ritual lingered like an invisible fog. Every time Menglong's name appeared on screen, comments exploded again, red emojis, cryptic remarks, and the unspoken question, what really happened that night? The silence was unbearable. In the absence of answers, the void filled itself with imagination. Fan communities transformed into digital detective hubs. Thousands of users collaborated across platforms, comparing timestamps, lighting angles, reflection patterns in the video to map the layout of Han Yujin's villa. They drew floor plans, analyzed shadows, speculated which direction the chanting had come from. The internet was no longer just reacting, it was investigating. It started as a whisper. A user on an underground forum claimed to possess a longer version of the blood ritual video, 5 minutes instead of 2. The alleged clip, described by those who claimed to have seen it, contained a second ritual, involving a mirror and a bowl of smoke. Screenshots circulated briefly before being deleted. In one image, a figure in white robes seemed to appear behind Menglong, transparent, almost spectral. Experts who examined the still frame debated whether it was a video glitch or something more. Then, without warning, that hosted the post vanished overnight. Its domain name redirected to a 404 page. Users called it the second purge. The second video ever existed remains uncertain. But the rumor's mere existence reignited the frenzy, and deepened the fear. Scholars, amateur occultists, and internet theologians began dissecting the footage, offering their interpretation. One group from a university in Hong Kong released an analytical report titled, Symbolism and Sound in the Menglong Blood Ritual Video. The report's conclusions were chilling. The red circle's geometry followed proportions identical to those found in ancient manuscripts describing rites of renewal. The repeated chant, down and processed through software, revealed a pattern resembling a reversed phonetic sequence of a Tang dynasty incantation. The phrase, for rebirth appeared to echo the closing line of a forbidden text known as the 49th Gate. According to legend, that text promised prosperity and youth to those who completed the ceremony, but at a cost. One must offer a living bond to the unseen. When the study went viral, citizens began connecting dots that perhaps should have been left unconnected. A month after the chaos began, this message surfaced, allegedly from one of Menglong's backup dancers, who had attended the party briefly before leaving. The voice, trembling but determined, said, "It wasn't supposed to go that far. It started as a joke, a parody of old superstitions. But when Han Yujin brought out the silver bowl, something changed." Menglong's expression went blank. "I swear, he didn't look like himself. I left right after that. I wish I hadn't seen it." The message was quickly deleted. But it had already spread. Psychologists later described the witness accounts as collective narrative contagion. But others weren't convinced. So many unrelated people recall the same sensations, the same eerie heaviness in the air, the same chilling silence when the lights dimmed. In late February, another twist, Han Yujin disappeared. His office confirmed he had taken a personal leave due to health issues. His phone went offline, his email bounced. No one had seen him in public since. Journalists camped outside his villa for days. But the gates remained shut. Neighbors claimed they saw workmen entering late at night, boxes and ceiling materials. One described hearing faint humming, like chanting, from inside. Rumors spread that the ritual had backfired. Something had attached itself to Han Yujin. The renovations were part of an exorcism. There was no proof. But when truth hides too long, fear becomes fact. 2 months later, Menglong resurfaced. Appeared in a televised charity gala, performing a melancholic ballad under dim lights. His voice trembled slightly, less polished, more human. The audience erupted in cheers. Those watching closely noticed something strange. In one part of the song, as he lifted his right hand, the red thread around his wrist was gone, replaced by a faint scar, A thin, pale line barely visible under the stage light. Cameras zoomed in, screenshots went viral again. Some claimed it was a burn mark. Said it resembled an ancient sigil. When asked in a post-show interview about the rumors, Menglong simply smiled and said, "Some nights are meant to be forgotten." Then he walked off stage. Months later, an independent filmmaker released a YouTube documentary titled The Blood Ritual, the story behind the scandal. The film featured interviews with sound engineers, lighting experts, and even a forensic analyst. Findings painted a complicated picture. Lighting. The eerie red hue in the video was consistent with filtered LED bulbs, not candlelight. Chanting. Spectrographic analysis showed it was likely a reversed sound loop, a digital effect. Blood. Chemical analysts determined that the liquid in the bowl reflected properties of diluted syrup or pigment. In short, it was staged. If it was, why didn't anyone admit it? Why the silence, the deletion, the vanishing host? The documentary ended not with answers. Question. If this was only performance art, why were those who attended too afraid to speak? Half a year later, new footage emerged, not of Menglong, but of another celebrity's private event. Similar red lighting, similar chants. The internet dubbed it the second circle. Analysts compared the two videos and noticed that both shared a subtle watermark. Barely visible symbols encoded in the corners of the frame. When inverted, the marks formed a sequence, VI, ZI, IX. Conspiracy theorists speculated it represented dates, coordinates, or even a secret society. No one could confirm its meaning, but the pattern was undeniable. Journalists uncovered that several attendees at Han Yujin's birthday also worked together on a mysterious art collective registered under a company named Crimson Gate Studios, a small production house known for avant-garde experimental media. Their tagline, "Art must taste of fear." Former intern later revealed that the collective had been working on a project called Rebirth Protocol, a cross-media performance blending ritual, psychology, and viral storytelling. The concept, blur the boundary between myth and media until audiences could no longer tell which was real. The Blood Ritual video, it seemed, was the first phase. But when it escaped online, when it crossed into genuine terror, no one was ready for the storm that followed. The collective eventually disbanded. Some members deleted their online profiles, others moved abroad. But the cultural impact had already taken root. Asia, small underground communities began hosting rebirth gatherings, inspired by the leaked footage. Claimed it was symbolic purification. But several incidents of fainting and mass hysteria forced authorities to intervene. Sociologists later coined the term the Menglong phenomenon, describing how a fictional ritual triggered real psychological and cultural reactions worldwide. The line between art, fear, and faith had been erased. 2026, a journalist named Lin Qiao published a 300-page exposé titled Under the Red Light, The Truth Behind the Ritual. She spent over a year tracing every thread of the story, interviewing former staff, scanning deleted posts, decoding digital traces. Conclusion was hauntingly simple. The truth was never hidden. It was just too ordinary for people to accept. According to her findings, the ritual had been part of a creative project, a mock ceremony, meant to explore superstition in modern celebrity culture. When the footage leaked without context, it became a mirror reflecting society's deepest fears. To hold up a candle, she wrote, but instead, we set the internet on fire. Nearly a year after the scandal, Menglong finally addressed it during a live interview. The studio lights were soft, his tone calm. At night was not about blood. It was about rebirth. We wanted to create something meaningful, but it got out of control. Learned that mystery can be beautiful, but fear travels faster than art. He paused, then added quietly, "Times, people prefer the monster to the truth." The interview ended there. The host smiled awkwardly. The audience applauded. But as the credits rolled, noticed something subtle, a red pendant glinting beneath his collar. Was it a coincidence? Or a quiet reminder that some stories never truly end? Years later, the blood ritual remains a legend, retold in documentaries, podcasts, and ghost stories whispered at night. I believe it marked a turning point in entertainment, when reality and fiction merged too perfectly to separate. Others say it was simply performance art gone wrong. But in dark corners of the web, A faint video clip still circulates, grainy, incomplete, endlessly re-uploaded. The chanting continues softly into the void. And if you listen closely, at the very end of the file, just before the static fades, voice whispers once more, "For rebirth." After countless explanations, fact checks, and official statements, the legend of the blood ritual refuses to fade. It lives on, not in headlines or trending charts. Whispers, glances, and the quiet unease that lingers whenever Menglong's name is spoken. Because the truth, once tangled with myth, never be fully untied. Perhaps it was only performance art. Perhaps it was something darker. But what terrified the world that night wasn't the blood, or the chanting, or even the circle. It was the realization that fear spreads faster than fact, and that the line between reality and illusion can vanish with a single upload. The internet moved on, as it always does, but somewhere, on a forgotten server, video still loops, the light flickers red. The chant rises again, and the voice whispers through static, "For rebirth." The circle remains unbroken. To everyone who followed this story, questioned, who searched, who dared to look beyond the surface, thank you. In an age where truth drowns in noise, your curiosity keeps the flame alive. And to the readers who reach the end of this journey, remember, not every mystery demands an answer. Some are meant to linger, echoing softly through the dark, reminding us that even the brightest lights can cast the deepest shadows. Thank you for reading. Till the next revelation, stay curious. Stay in the light.